Hi, my name is Nicole. I am a full-time-ish reseller on the Poshmark app. I do consignment of mostly vintage and designer clothing. I am in the New York tri-state area. I wanted to show you, I had heard a lot of people complaining about December being slow, people aren't buying December, blah, blah, blah. So I wanted to show you the 165 items I have sold actually as of last night. I sold 165. I woke up and had another, I think, 4 or 5 sales this morning so far in today's closet clear out. I have a goal of reaching 200. So let's scroll down to the beginning of the month. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to focus on the stuff that sold quickly or the things that I think might apply to some information for you. So first thing that sold were these bottom row. I'll do it row by row. Those are just basics. The sweater on the right sat for a while, so I took an offer. This pair of Under Armour shoes, I took an offer. It sat for a while. The Michigan boots, again, same thing. Go up to the next row where there's the gray sweater. And that's a consignment piece that was Angora, and that's the only reason that I just had to sell it. It had a flaw, so I took the offer that I got on it. The next piece is also a consignment piece. I was in somebody's basement and saw this pullover velour sweater. It had a bit of a stain on it. I said, I believe I can still sell it, clean it up, etc. So I did, and I put it on, and it sold in days. For, I believe, $20. I got an offer. This was labeled as a Lacoste and Izod. I guess the company split at some point. I don't know the whole history on that. I would like to. I love that kind of stuff. But I changed up the title a few times. I listed it as an Izod. I listed it as Lacoste. It ended up selling as a Lacoste piece. And being that it was sized as a child's 16, oftentimes when I think something looks a certain size, like I thought that this would appeal to a woman or unisex extra small, I listed it that way. I listed it as an extra small. I usually will indicate the measurements in my listing and note in my listing that this item is sized for a child, but here's my measurements and I believe it could fit an adult. It hasn't backfired on me yet, so that's one of my tips and tricks on selling a piece if you have a good eye for sizing. Also, I use tags, and I think that that's paramount to the selling process and why I've been able to increase my sales. So I will go on. These are a pair of fur boots that had a little flaw on, missing piece of fur, actually. I sold this for a church thrift store. I do it for them as a donation. And so these, I got an offer of $21. Generally, they sell much higher, but because of the flaw, I took the 21, and then I just donate the proceeds back to this food pantry thrift store that I absolutely love. You'll see that I have a lot of items in my closet that sell for them. But even with the flaw, I knew that this was a good thing, and it sold for 21. So moving on, I had tons, and still do, of sweaters. I like to pick up the vintage 80s and 90s sweaters. I would have called them Cosby sweaters before, but now they're not. So you can call them that if you wish. But I make sure that I have those, and I want to get rid of them quickly. I hate being stuck with items. So I list them mostly as women's. Oversized, I will tag them as 80s, 90s, pullover. This one I put neon green, white, and black, knit. I call them a grandpa sweater. Sometimes I'll put ugly sweater. That one sold for $7. I just don't like to sit on things, so I got rid of it. The next faux fur jacket sold for $30. That was another church. It's not my church, but it's a food bank thrift store that I sell for, and I donate the money. This next piece is an anthro piece, and I don't know if you've been having luck with anthro, but every single anthro piece I pick up, I've been not having luck with. So last year, about a year and a half ago, or 2 seasons ago, I picked this up. I was so excited. I just started on Poshmark, and I knew anthro was the way to go. So When I found this one, I thought it would sell right away. Being plaid, insulated, oversized, it had all of the good things. I listed it and it did not sell. I ended up wearing it for the season, even shared it with my sister, and decided to relist it for this season. I got an offer of $20. I took it and ran. This next row, I sold a bag. This piece is a prairie dress piece. So this dress I had for a really long time. It's part of a buyout I did of someone's estate. And I I sat on it for a really long time and I couldn't figure out why. I looked at so many different reasons and it was like, okay, well, check, my pictures are great. They're eye-catching. The style's on point. I tagged it properly, boho, prairie. I couldn't figure out what was wrong. The problem that I found at the end of the day was it's a petite. And I find that it's not very easy to sell petites on this platform, at least. Or it's not that it's not easy, it just takes too long. So, I wanted to make sure during this listing that I explained to you why tags are so important. For this particular piece, I ended up deciding that taking the petite out would be appropriate because vintage pieces, even if they're petite, oftentimes are not really petite anymore. In modern day petite. I'm 5'5". I have a 37, 38-inch bust, which is why you see in that top that there's a little bit of a gap. But I'm not short. My torso is not short, my legs are not short, my arms are not short, and you can see that this piece fits me not like a petite piece. So I took the petite out. I noted in the listing that it did say on the tag that it was petite, and I put the measurements in and just made it a regular size large. When I did that, it finally sold, and I was happy to take whatever offer I got. I was expecting a lot more, but I only bought this set for $1 at the time. So, I was happy to just see it go. I'm very paranoid and superstitious. So to me, it's like when something's sitting, I feel like it's putting bad, like bad karma or bad juju on all my other pieces. So I wanted to see it go. I took a $24 offer, and it was gone. I wanted to make sure that you understand why tagging is important. I'll stay on this vintage piece. They call it vintage, but it's 80s and 90s, which to me was shocking that that's considered vintage now, but it is. Tagging is really important because I try to explain it this way when I'm giving somebody a consultation. If my daughter says, "Mom, I need a size 12 prairie dress," and I just type in size 12 dress. You know how many size 12 dresses come up on Poshmark, and I encourage you to practice this for yourself. Type in size 12 dress. Then type in size 12 prairie dress or size 12 boho vintage. Type in the things that if you know certain customers are looking for, that they would type in. Think like a buyer. If a buyer is into a certain style, they're not just going to type in size 12 dress generally. Most of the time, people on these sites know what they like. Most of the time, or know what they're looking for, especially in a vintage scenario. So I will type in my tags: boho, prairie, modest, 80s, 90s, vintage. I'll put in, on this specific item, I'll put in that it has panel skirt. Let's move on. This was a cachet piece that I picked up in that same purchase. I really didn't want to hold on to it. It sat through one season. I don't like holding things. Probably could have got $20 more, but it would have taken me more work to hold it and reshare it and relist it. So I took the offer I got. It is cachet. I am nervous that maybe come summer, cachet will not be sought after anymore. So I was happy to get rid of it. This is one of those deals where I spent like no money. I've already made my money on this lot I bought out of for $400 from this one person, so I was happy to see that one go. The next item is I have not watched Harry Potter. I know my children have watched it and read everything. Anything Harry Potter, I pick up. So this scarf I knew was Harry Potter, and it said Hufflepuff. Don't know what a Hufflepuff is, don't care. But I listed it and got a lot of action, and it sold within a week or two for an offer of $18, which I took very happily. And I got a really nice love note from the buyer who said that she didn't want to take it off. So there's a lot of Harry Potter followers out there, and this month I sold 2 Harry Potter pieces, which one will come up soon in the second part too. The next item is a hype bag I sold for the food bank church thrift store that I do business with. It's not business, it's charity. This was listed for a week, 2 weeks maybe, and it sold for an offer of $30, which I was happy to take. They would have not made that much money on it. This was a surprising sale. It's a silk vintage Lily Rubin paint splatter. 80s, 90s, shoulder pads, blazer. I just couldn't figure out how to list it, so I took $8. It's been sitting for longer than I prefer, since July. And I've just decided that I don't want to retake pictures. It's not worth my time. So I got an offer of $8, and I took it. This whole line is just basics. These Anu sneakers I will not be picking up again. Or maybe it was the color or the photos, I'm not sure. Maybe I would try it if I found them cheap enough. But they sold for $9. This Born purse had everything going for it, and it took forever and only sold for $7. I don't know why. I would probably, in that style, try that one again. This jacket shocked me. It's got everything. It's reversible, puffer, insulated, Columbia, flawless, extra large, neon, black banded, full zip. I have no idea why this one did not sell. I had 11 likes and finally took an offer for $14. This whole row are my bread and butter shoes. I love selling shoes. None of these are extra special. The Miss Moos took quite some time to sell, and I ended up selling those for $19. A little surprising, probably because of season. The Danskos I sell tons of. It's probably my top 2 selling shoe. This one did not sell for as much as all my others, and I don't know if it was style, condition, or season, but I took the first offer that I got. I believe that if somebody sends you an offer and it's making you money, you should just take it. Those Chambu snow boots also sold for $15. That was fine. This soft surroundings, I'm kind of going to give up on soft surroundings anymore. I don't know if that's a seasonal thing too, but that dress itself was like brand new. I was expecting it to go fast and for a lot more. I only got $14 offer. I took it. The Levi's shirt was like a vintage throwback. This CK pair of jeans has been listed for, gosh, probably since almost the beginning. It's one of my oldest, and I do not like hanging on. I could have taken more pictures. I could have started it over. I could have relisted. I was going to get to that. I didn't. Somebody offered me $8. Took it. This Victoria's Secret bra is another example of why I think tagging is so very important. People can pick from any thousands of Victoria's Secret size 38C bra if they type it in for buying. So I'm sure that the fact that I put in there striped black and white underwire, full coverage, put in the exact style, padded, perfect coverage, that somebody typed in something with my tag included. She could have put in black and white. She could have put in black. She could have been put in striped. She could have been put in, maybe she owned some padded coverage bras, and she put that in, and this is the first one that sold out of 15 that I listed that day. I do believe that the tags make a huge difference. The scarf is a liquidation lot that I'm trying to get rid of. No big deal. The next piece to the left is a pink Coach. I do not really care for Coach, yet I sell it a lot. That one was a piece for the charity that I work with. It was a pink monogrammed Coach. And again, I tag it the proper way. This was listed for less than 2 weeks. I'd gotten an offer for $33, and I was really aggressive with all of these bags. I know that I could have gotten more if I would have waited, but this was, again, a charity that could use the money. They would have otherwise sold this bag for probably $5. So I make sure I put the serial number to the bag on the listing. Sometimes people are searching for a specific style. I would definitely do that if I were you. And so this bag I sold very quickly, like I said, and I don't think that any of these bags that I'm going to show you today sat for more than 2 weeks. And that really is the goal of the charity, because they need the money to provide the food bank that they do. I also volunteer there, so I get to see these items and say, hey, let me help you out, and make sure that you don't sell them on the floor for nothing. So this bag is another one of them. I make sure I tag these a specific way as well. I think that it's important to write pretty, whatever you think a buyer would think. Pretty, pink, pastel. Put those things in there. This is my first pair of vintage shoes that sold for the month that I will be showing you. These are Joan and David white snakeskin. These were listed for a little bit, and this is from a consignment of a client. I have several pairs of her shoes that will come up during this month. She sold out with the highest prices of any of my items, and I'm excited to show you how consignment can work for you. These are, things that I will, back in any shoe that's from the 80s and 90s, they, especially France and Spain, Italy, they design them in a very sexy, sleek way. You can see that they dip really low in the toes. They were very interested in showing the toe cleavage. The lines of the shoe just are like the lines of a woman's body. They fit like that. They look like that. Maybe I just love shoes. I don't know. But this is a style that was really big back then. I sold these for $36. They originally cost $400. That's a problem with sometimes your sellers, is explaining to them how resale doesn't really equate to regular price. That's a ski jacket I sold very quickly for $31. They sell very well. These are an Echo pair of basics I sold for $12. I don't find that patent leather really moves very quickly. And I was a little surprised at this price. I don't know if it was size, season, condition, or what, but I got $12 for those. Wasn't very exciting, but I want to show you all my sales from December so that everybody can understand that this is not, Poshmark doesn't suck in December. This is another bag I got from the thrift store. It's a Cole Haan, sold very quickly. Again, I understand that these prices might not be what you would be looking for, but this is a charity. They're very happy to get the $28 minus fees as quickly as they do. These Danskos I was sick and tired of looking at. I'm sure if I would have waited a little longer, I probably could have gotten an extra $20 in the season. My clogs sell the best, but those I was tired of looking at, and they were size 10. I took $7. This is a pair of vintage 80s, 90s Lily Rubin white leather pleated high-waisted. I love these pants. I bought it for nothing. I bought an entire lot of vintage clothing, Lily Rubin, St. John, and Cachet, multiple other things for $400. Each piece cost me about $1. This had a 3-piece set, the blazer, the skirt, and the pants. I originally listed it with the blazer, the skirt, and the pants as the 3-piece set, and I listed it for $222 for the entire thing. I got a lot of activity, but no offers, and nobody took the offers to likers. So I decided that I was going to cross-list in my own closet. I separated the pants and listed them by themselves because it seemed like that was what most people were interested in as far as when they asked me about measurements. So I listed those by themselves, and I ended up selling them for $22. In the process of cross-listing in my own closet, I still left up the listing for the 3-piece, the skirt, the pants, and the blazer, And I also added a listing for just the skirt and the blazer so that someone could buy the suit itself. And I decided, it's just like cross-listing to different platforms, whichever sold first. That was reasonable and made me happy. I would make adjustments to my other listings so that I can make my items move. I am constantly tweaking my items. You need to be doing that. There's a little dress that I sold, nothing. The next pair of booties I sold for $31. If you see anything that say love on the bottom, and they are ED. That's the Ellen DeGeneres brand. I did not know that until I saw these. I knew they were good. I just didn't know where they were from. These sold in days. You see the ED on the back of the pull. These are in new condition. They still have the tags on the bottom, stickers, but I didn't have the box or the actual tag, so I did not write them as new with tags. They sold for $31. I've seen the comps between $40 and $50, depending on style and color. If you do see an ED love, it's like a cursive word, love or hearts, ED, pick these up. I am having no trouble right now. The next bag, I had no idea. I'd never heard of this. The Gerald Darrell, I think it's called. But I just knew it was quality when I saw it and felt the crochet. This piece I listed, this is for the church, thrift store, food bank. I listed it high just because of the comps that I saw. It had some flaws, as you can see on the handle, nothing major. I got an offer of $57 in a matter of days. It was very clean inside, and took that offer, and the church was thrilled with that. This piece is these two, I'm going to finish up here on this line. I know this has been a long video. This next piece is a consignment jacket that sold for $200. This is a very rare piece by a designer. I guess he'd made himself a designer, Tony Alamo. He was a cult leader. And I'm always interested in the background. So this cult leader supposedly had children and cult workers doing slave labor on his pieces, such as this. When I was doing my comps, I saw that, and I got a little nervous because people were commenting, just like they would on a PETA fur item, and said, take this down. They were writing this in other people's listings, take this down, this man did this man did that. And I had to sit there and talk with my owner of the item and really think about whether it was worth listing or not, if I wanted to personally list it. And I finally came to a conclusion, regardless of money, that I'm a lover of vintage, and some vintage do have very bad history. There were sweatshops and child labor back in the 40s, and I still love those clothes too, and it wouldn't stop me from listing them. So this piece got listed. So why I think it sold for $200 was, first of all, of course, if anybody is a follower of Tony Alamo, this is New York, and of course it's got Big Apple written all over it. People love New York. This particular piece is pre-September 11th, so it actually has the Twin Towers on the back. Many of their jackets are big cities, or cities that are famous, like Nashville is where I guess he had his work being made. That's a huge seller. There's comps on these jackets, in the $700 range, $500 range, depending on which jacket you find. I've seen them from Vegas, Beverly Hills. The designer, I don't know if I want to call him a designer, but he is the designer. He would use puffy paint and lots of bling, hand paint things, airbrush things, and these are all tags that I put. I write in my listing that this is blingy, rhinestones, that it's stone washed, light washed, acid washed, 80s retro, oversized. I put that it's unisex because I believe it is. I put the spell out of the city. I write down every single detail I can think of. Brooklyn Bridge, downtown Manhattan, because, hipsters sometimes want something from Brooklyn. A lot of them live in Brooklyn. I make sure that I noted in here that this is when the Twin Towers were still associated with the New York skyline. This did not sit for more than a month. I had it listed in the 500s. I'd gotten an offer for $200. I made sure that the seller was okay with that, the owner. Like I said, this is a consignment piece. She said she was, and I took the offer. Very happy with it. So I think that you need to make sure that you pay attention to tagging. Please, please, please. I make my templates I use a Mac, so I make my templates in my notes. That way I have, to save time, I have like vintage jacket, vintage this, vintage that, and I have all my tags in there. I copy and paste them over to my listing in a draft, and then I just make any changes I need to make for the particular item. It saves me a ton of time and makes listing just so much faster. And then also I don't forget anything. So I really feel like you need to do that for yourself if you want to achieve as many sales as I do, or more. I believe that it helps with these vintage, particular, specifically unique pieces. And I think that these are tips that you need to use if you really want to broaden your closet. This is one part of a 2-part video of what sold in December so far. I sold 165 items as of last night. When I woke up this morning, I had a few more sales, and as we've been doing this video, there's been a few more since. I do have someone sharing my closet 3 times a day. That's not me. And I would love to share more information with you to show you how I've accomplished this in just 15 months, I believe, of selling on Poshmark exclusively. But I want to also show you this last pair of Chanel vintage, almost kitten heel, slingback. I mean, I tag everything. I wasn't sure if this was a yellowed white or ivory, but I decided it was ivory. I put two-tone, monogram, logo, Chanel, elastic, strappy, slingback, kitten heel pumps. I put, white piping. I put spell out Chanel, vintage 80s, 90s. Metal toe tap, I put in leather toe cap. That's what that white piece is called. Bows, everything I can think of. Although in the Chanel piece, you really don't necessarily need to try and make that stand out. There's not a whole lot of vintage Chanel listed that I'm competing with, but it does help. And I know I've heard conflicting information about whether Google searches our entire descriptions on Posh or just the initial description. Throughout my research, I am confident in telling you that Google only uses SEO's search tags from our original description. If you don't want to trust me, and I don't expect you to, I would research that on your own. So make sure you put your most valuable tags in your small description, where of course we're limited, and the inside Poshmark searches will hit all of your extensive description. If you want to see part 2 of this video of the other items that have sold in December, which get more expensive, more unique, and more vintage, please like and subscribe to this channel. If you hit notifications, you will be notified when I make the next video, which I hope and pray gets put up today or this evening. I also have a video coming out that describes my vintage resale consignment journey and how it came to be that I sell on Poshmark exclusively. Also some tips and tricks on how to start consignment for yourself and basically make money for free, just using your own time if you can't buy the inventory. How to find people to sell vintage for out of their own closets on consignment and make money without spending money. This will help jumpstart you for 2020. And if you would like to follow my journey on Instagram, my Instagram is at Xorussellposh, where I have 3,000 subscribers, and I try to list and post many photos that don't ever make it to Poshmark. And you can follow my Poshmark closet on Poshmark at Xorussell, Russell. There you will find between 500 and 600 pieces at a time. Sometimes I get over that, but I'm a rapid seller, so my business model is not to let things sit. So I can list 200 items in a week and still stay between the 500 and 600. Goals for 2020, YouTube, and get my closet to 1,000. So thanks for watching, and I hope you meet me for the next one.